Hey everyone, welcome to Runestone Reptiles. I'm your host, Chad. There is something special about that moment where an impossible dream comes true. I've had a few of those moments in my life. One of those moments, for me, was when I was able to buy my first ball python. I've dreamed about having a ball python since middle school, but it always felt out of reach. My father wasn't the type of person who wanted snakes around the house, and as I got older, the financial responsibilities seemed to keep the ball pythons just out of reach. Finally, my wife and I decided to go to a reptile expo in Colorado, and as a special present to each other, we allotted a small budget to purchase animals if we found something we loved. After hours of walking and searching and seeing a few maybe snakes, my eyes fell on what was, in my opinion, the most gorgeous snake in the expo. After asking a few questions and talking price, the breeder and I settled on a price, and I named my new snake Ghost. I've introduced Ghost before in an earlier episode of Runestone Reptiles. Today, we're going to really talk about him in a lot more detail. I think Ghost is a special animal and deserves an episode all to himself. As we start looking at Ghost, I think we can go ahead and start by looking at the most obvious part, his looks. We discussed morphs in an earlier episode of Runestone Reptiles, and as I mentioned then, I'm not a genetics expert. I've had to look up a lot of this stuff, and I'm still working to better understand the morphs of the ball pythons and how they all work together. Ghost has a lot of really cool morphs in him. Ghost is a pastel, enchi, calico, spider, pinstripe ball python. Now, what does that all mean? Pastel morphs are characterized by bright yellow and gold coloration with green or pale eyes. So if we take a look at him here, we can kind of see there's some of that yellow coloration in there that it's talking about. And he really does have some really pretty eyes. I don't know if that camera is going to do justice on those eyes. It can enhance patterns and bring out the vivid colors of different morphs and patterns. The enchi morph takes the alien head pattern of a normal ball python and smooths it out, while sometimes turning the pattern into sleek stripes or side bands. This morph also brings out the yellow and oranges in the snake's coloring. So again, we can kind of see some of those yellows in Ghost here, but we really don't see any of the alien head patterning that it's talking about or the banding, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The calico morph can darken background tones and add white pigmentation along the side of the snake. So we can kind of see some of that white pigmentation in there. The spider morph displays a web-like pattern between the alien head pattern of a normal ball python, while also producing high displays of white blushing. So if we kind of take a look in here, right, there's little points where you can kind of get that spider pattern, that webbing pattern that it talks about. The pinstripe morph features a dorsal stripe from the neck and the pinstriping running down the side of the snake's body. So you can see the stripe along his dorsal as well as the pinstripe. So that's why his pattern is so unique and so different from the alien head pattern that I keep mentioning. Right, this pinstripe here really makes a really cool pattern on him. The product of these genes combining is this beauty right here. Now, I'm not going to pretend to fully understand the genetics, the why or how this combination ends up producing this snake, but he sure is pretty. Ghost is more than just a pretty face. His genetics are what ultimately drew me to him when I was walking around the expo. But as I watched him and began to get to know him, I discovered he was much more than the morphs that gave him his color and pattern. He is curious, and one of the most adventurous snakes in my collection. When I rearrange his enclosure, he is out exploring almost immediately. There are many times where I have opened his enclosure, and he has come out of his hides so that he can see what was around and what was going on. Ghost is also incredibly gentle. He warms up to people quickly. Ghost is an incredibly easy snake to handle, and I trust Ghost more than any other snake in the Runestone collection. When my children want to handle a snake, Ghost is the first one I reach for. Ghost was chosen to act as the mascot for the Runestone Reptiles. His image was used for several different reasons. First is the fact that Ghost is my first ball python. He represents a dream coming true. Second is his spider gene. Now I know this may seem weird, but in many ways I feel that Ghost is what good reptile keeping is all about. Many people have strong feelings about the spider gene, and there are a lot of people who have a lot of hate for it. I've seen people push that hate onto keepers for having the spider morph. The spider morph is associated with a wobble that can affect how a ball python lives. This leads to a lot of people who believe that the spider morph shouldn't be bred. Now, Ghost isn't at fault for what genes are in his DNA. And being a good keeper doesn't mean blaming the animal for something that is beyond its control. Being a good keeper means providing the best home possible despite the difficulties. Being a good keeper also means making sure that you are able to handle the needs of the animals that you are bringing into your home. If you're not prepared for a wobble in your snake, don't adopt a spider morph. I am capable of providing a full life for Ghost and giving him a good home. Not everyone is going to have that setup for the spider morph. So it's a good example of doing your homework before you get an animal and understanding its unique needs. Ghost also represents something that I feel is at the heart of Runestone Reptiles' breeding goals. Helping future keepers fall in love with an animal. Ghost is special, and if we are honest, he is probably my favorite of all my animals. He is going to enjoy a long and healthy life. Do you have a pet that is your dream come true? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.